Hi everyone, this is Koinzell here. So Cyno is out. He's so fun. I don't know have you guys tried? He's really fun. At least for me. I've heard a few other people saying how fun he is as well. So before we go further, today's video is going to focus on testing out the rotation that we did in our math guide. So I'll do both C0 and C1. Without further ado, let's look at the rotation itself. After the rotation is done, I'll show you guys the stats. And so I wanted to show you guys the stats early before this, but if I show now, there will be people who will be confusing that I did C1 for a C0 rotation. So I'm not going to show that now. Okay? So let's look at the C0 rotation itself. Okay, so this is the C0 rotation. We have pretty much the exact same characters as I did in my math, except for replacing Collei with DMC. Because if you remember in my math guide, I said that the DMC quicken does last longer than Collei because of how long Cyno's Q is. So I'm just using DMC here. No harm using Collei as well, it's fine. Anyway, I'm focusing on rotation here. We are not doing damage. In fact, I can tell you my Cyno, I forgot to level his talents when I was doing this rotation. So all of his talents are at level 1. And his level is at level 70 now. Okay, so let's look at the rotation itself. I'll do it without any comment first. The rotation is very fast. So I'll do it without any comment first, and then we'll do another playback with it being slowed and me explaining to you guys what's going on. Alright? Everything follows the math guide. Except maybe Cyno's action, and I'll talk more about that later. Okay, so that's the end. Let me do a slow playback for you guys. This time around. Okay, we'll do a slow playback entirely. So Cyno E, Shinobu Q E, DMC EQ, Kazuha E and Q, so as to get his C2 buff if you have C2, and also to get the extended damage buff. Cyno E followed by Q. Okay, so here it's very straightforward. We are doing M4 E, and second is M4 E again. Let me turn off the. It's E and we added the NCA E. Okay. Again, every time after M4 we do a E. Now this time round, you see that it's a little tight, right? But we still managed to get it. We still managed to get it at the last moment. I still managed to get it at the last moment. But anyway, the mob has died now, so we're actually resetting, right? This is why we'll call it reset because we're trying to move to another mob. Now you make sure you hit the end sphere, but because we were a little late in hitting this end sphere, by the time we got to the mob and we used the E, right? This end sphere E is a late E. It's a late end sphere. It's not an early end sphere because end sphere has a window. So if it's a late end sphere, I actually don't recommend that you continue trying to do M4E. You won't be able to hit it. The timing is quite tight, especially at C0. Okay, so if you notice that because of reaction time or anything, you do a late E, right? Late end sphere E, then you should just do a normal 4GD combo where you see I even do M5, right? I even have the time to dodge, but you can actually use the E immediately after the M5. Okay, so there's a bit of adjustment required. It's not blindly following M4E all the time. When you use 4TF, the skill cap is actually higher. The skill is higher because the window is tight. You need to do M4E and you need to make sure that you need to look at your E itself, whether you trigger it on the early NCL or late NCL. And sometimes you can't spam it. But not to worry, I have all of these tips written down, this optimization point tips written down. I'll talk about it later. Now this is the C0 rotation. So you see that we didn't really do 8 E's, we do like 6 E's if I'm not wrong. Maybe one less because of moving mobs. But I think it's a 6 E's. But nevertheless, the point isn't about how many E's. The point is really about the fact that C0 window is tight and rotation works, but C0 window is tight. And when you move to another mob, you actually waste a lot of time. You can't do your 2x M4E. You have to revert to a M5E or even N3E, depending on whatever the situation is. Basically, when you move to another mob, you drop your 4TF combo, you revert to 4GD combo. which 4GD combo is very, very straightforward. Just spam your normal attacks until NCR E. That's it. Okay, rinse and repeat. That's 4GD combo. 4TF combo, however, is it requires a higher skill cap, but it rewards you because it does do more damage. And I'll show you guys, even with 6E, it's still better than 4GD. Okay, but I'll show the math later. So this is C0 rotation. You know what? Let me talk about the tips now. So to summarize what I was saying, for 4TF rotation at C0, one important tip is that the moment for the non-NCR E, right, the E that's in between the NCR interviews, the moment you see M4's first swing, just press E. You don't even need to wait for the second C swing. In fact, for all the E's, on all the E's, press E the moment you see the M4 first swing. Don't need to wait for a second swing. It will naturally happen. You will not cancel it unless you're super fast. E on NCR only works after the M4's first swing connects. So only press E then. If you notice, although the NCR E window appeared, we only press it only after the M4 hit because we know that the timing is not there yet. If you press your E too early, you will miss the timing because E is not ready and your entire rotation gets messed up. Okay? Once you move to the next mob, like what I said earlier, you have to restart combo and use NA until NCR E. Now, if your reaction time on NCR E is fast enough, you can resume 4TF combo, otherwise use 4GD combo. This is what I was talking about, whether it's early NCR E or late NCR E. But either way, if you follow my tips here, you should at least get 6 Es, even at C0. Okay? It's actually very rewarding. I find this very challenging and fun, to be honest. Like trying to get as many E's as possible and try to hit the E timing. I don't know. I actually find this pretty fun. But it's up to individuals, obviously. If you don't like this, having to do this and take note of all this, right? Then you can go for GD. But I can tell you, the more you do it, the more you get used to it, and the better you get at it. Yeah. I mean, for me, even today, just trying out the rotation, I already improved a little on this. Okay. Okay, let's look at the C1 rotation next. So obviously the C1 rotation will be much easier, right? The window is less tight on your M4Es. So let's see how it goes. See, I don't even need to see Cyno. I know when is the M4 hit because I've practiced enough, at least for one day. So when you move to the next mob, the moment you see NCIE, execute NCIE. In this case, we hit it really late, but never mind. I'll talk more about it when we slow down the rotation video. Okay, yeah. So the mod almost died as well. And this is level 70 with triple one, all talents at level 1. So I think Cyno is performing pretty well. Let's look at the rotation itself at a slow pace. I will start slowing down from the Cyno actions onwards because the rest of it is the same. Okay. Okay. So here we have Cyno's action. We have our M4 hitting now, and you press E. First hit, I already press E. Okay. Now for this, if you are sharp enough, you will see that we actually started the N5 slightly earlier. We started the M5, but I cancelled it with an E. Why? Because for the C1, if you spam M4E, you will miss the second E. I'm serious, you will miss the second E. You're too fast. You have to wait like a 0.5 second pause, and you press it, and it will coincide at the exact moment that the NCR start, which will make the rest of your rotation very, very smooth. Okay, let's see. Okay, again, we hit the fourth swing, fourth hit, we use our E. Now, this time round, we have to draw our NA, our normal attacks, and when we move to another mob, we use our E. So in this case, the window was met perfectly, so that's okay. Now, I was a bit greedy here. I tried to do an M4E again, even though we were technically speaking on a late E earlier. But what happens is that we did manage to hit the E. Yeah, we did manage to hit the E, NCR E. You'll see the three slashes out. Now, for the next wave, the next round, I know that I was very, very late, so we use an M5 plus AE. Wait, did we? Let me double check. Did we do a M1? M5, we didn't get chance to do M1, so we do E. So there's a lot of adjustment involved with the 40F rotation. If you want to maximize it to get like 7, 8 E's, right? There's a lot of rotation, there's a lot of optimization involved. If you want to keep it simple, just 6 E's, right? You can use what I shared earlier for C0. But for C1, I'll say definitely try to go for 7, 8 E's because rotation wise is pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of timing and getting used to it. Like, I mean, this is day one, right? I mean, day one of using Cyno. The more you use him, the more you feel smooth. And for all you know, there will be people who find some even better rotation where you don't even look at how the situation is and you just follow. But I highly doubt that because in the first place, the combat is always dynamic, right? You're always moving around, the mobs are moving around, etc. So, but anyway, I hope you guys see that the M4E for 4TF, I know it doesn't look as straightforward as my math, but at least right now, what we see here is that it's definitely workable. And more importantly, it actually still performs better than 4GD. I'll show you guys next. Okay, I'll show you guys this next. But first off, let's go into the summary of the tips for C1 rotation. Alright, so for C1 plus rotation, you just need to make sure that this is the most important difference. For the very first NCLE, you need to wait for like 0.5 seconds. Which if you do it correctly, right, your NCLE is going to be executing the moment NCL starts, and your rotation after that will be much smoother in terms of the M4Es. But of course, this applies to before the mob dies. It will be smooth for M4E against one single target all the time. At first, you do have to move. But once you move to the next mob, you will always have to restart your combo and use normal attacks until the NCLE. And then whether or not you go continue your 4TF, it really depends on your NCLE, whether your reaction time is fast enough. If your reaction time is too slow, right, if it's a late NCLE, you should continue 4GD. If you know that you did a good one, early NCLE, then you can definitely do for the M4E 2X, which is the 40F combo. Alright? But with the C1 20% attack speed, I'll say it's much easier to get the 7 to 8 Es starting from C1. Alright? So I hope this helps you guys in terms of understanding how the rotation works for 40F. I'm probably still gonna use 40F unless I find like a super crack 4GD set. Otherwise, I'll use 40F and use this because you get to do higher damage. So is it how much better is it, right? Is it really better? So let's compare just the C0 figures. Okay, let's just compare C0 figures. Because if you see the C0 figures, you know that C1 is definitely better. So I don't need to compare further in a sense. Alright. Although I have not done the math, the updated math for C1, I did do the updated math for C0 because I don't want to do too much math when the character is out. Let's do the actual testing. There's a lot more for me to test. Alright, so these are the figures. Now, if you remember, this is the exact same as previously when we did our Cyno math guides. This is the 8E. When we do 6Es, these are the figures. Okay, these are 6E figures. So the percentage previously was like 11% and R1 for the EM damage crit circlet. Now it's 4%. With 6E, it's dropped. Yes, it's 4%. In fact, R5 is slightly in favor of Gilded Dreams, but it's still less than 0.5%. Right, because it's rounded, right? So it's less than 0.5% in the favor of GD. Oh, and this is for a signature weapon. I don't have the time to do the math for the rest of the weapons. At least for the rotation. But at least this brings you an idea. So if we assume the factors that I've mentioned earlier, right? The reaction time on the NCLE, moving to another mob, etc. Minimally, 6E should still be doable. Now, for 6E at C0R1, the advantage of 4TF versus 4GD has dropped from 11 to 4%, like I mentioned. But one very important thing to note is that because I did not do any update on the 4GD math, I can tell you guys, for 4GD math, the same applies. Reaction time, moving to another mob. I said that the reaction time is not that bad because you're just spamming your normal attacks, right? But if your reaction time is bad, you are going to lose out. Wait, let me think about it. Okay. For 4GD, it's not so bad because you are not on a very tight timeline on the M4E. But the moving to another mob still applies for 4GD. Okay, it applies for 4GD because when you move to another mob, you lose your normal attacks. But for my 4GD math, I did not factor in those. So it's kind of like this is a lot more realistic per se, while the 4GD figures that I'm comparing against are still like pure theory crafting. So the difference may be bigger. In fact, I would say it should be bigger. Okay, so all in all, this is how I summarize this. 4TF is still better, but 4TF does have a higher skill cap. 4GD is simpler in the sense of usage, very low skill cap. Just spam your normal attacks and use E whenever the NCR interval appears. Whereas 4TF, you really need to take note when the M4E is, you trigger your E. So the difference is you trigger your E on M4 versus you trigger your E when you see the NCR interval. But you also need to trigger E on NCR interval on 4TF. So that's why I say 4TF is a high skill cap. Okay, so it's your personal preference which to go for. If you want simple, you go for GD. If you want higher skill cap that rewards you with more damage, especially upfront, because the first few E's are still fully buffed. Remember, it's still fully buffed. Okay, I did not show this fully. Yeah, it's still fully buffed. So it's worth it. Yeah, it's worth it. This is also the reason why it's still better than 4GD, even with the 6E. And it's better than a theory crafting 4GD, not a practical 4GD per se. So another option is another thing to consider would be Yunjin, right? Use Yunjin for normal attack damage buff and attack speed buff. She does buff the normal attack, so that will help the rotation as well for 4TF. I'll probably try to find a chance to test out Yunjin plus Zhongli plus Dendro plus Cyno on stream soon. I don't know whether the energy will be enough for Cyno, but it should be doable if you have 2x for Vonnius weapons here, right? Yeah, and you have Zhongli and Yunjin for the Geo Resonance, that helps with damage as well. Because that gives you 15% damage bonus, which Cyno really needs damage bonus. Or rather, damage bonus is one of the best buff for him. Alright, so all in all, this is what I have for you guys after testing out Cyno C0 and C1 rotation. Let me just quickly show the stats for Cyno. Okay, so these are my Cyno stats. Well, let me go here. Yeah, these are my Cyno stats. The EM is 277. Attack is only 1274 because we are at level 70. We're only at level 70. I have not hit level 90 yet. Okay. Now these are our crit stats. CR we have 90. Crit damage is almost 200, but this is still lower than it should be because at level 90 you get more, or at least level 80 plus. ER is a bit too high. It's 129 right now. Should not be so high. Okay. What else? Yeah, I'm not happy with my CV. I definitely want higher CV. This is the R1 Staff of Scarlet Sense, his signature for TF. And Constellation is C1, because we just did C0 and C1 testing, right? And talents, like I say, is all level 1. Not because his talents are not worth leveling up, it's simply because I forgot them when I was doing the rotation. That's all. Okay? You should level them. At least the E and the Q. I don't need to level the normal attack, just the E and Q. Okay, now in case you ask me about the rest of the team, right? These are their stats. So 613 EM, crit for the Favonius crit rate, ER for Cookie. Then she's using Favonius and 4 tenacity. We just got C6 today. C3 DMC, because I have not done the new content yet. Favonius sword. 4-piece DU earlier. Then we have Kazuha with 936 EM. Actually, my Kazuha can be optimized a little here. The EM, I can go 50 EM higher and 20 ER lower. But anyway, this is his stats, just so you know what kind of damage they are each in dealing, etc. Yeah, but anyway, this is not a damage showcase video. It is a rotation testing video. That's why she's level 70 with talents all at level 1. Oh, and that being said, right, if any of you guys are not having Cyno and you are okay for me to get your scarabs, the scarab material that Cyno is using, please add me as friend in game. I really need those materials. Okay, so anyway, I hope the video is helpful to you guys. I'll see you guys next video. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember to like the video if you like the content. Okay, bye.